Welcome to 49ers Live, presented by Webex by Cisco. I'm Lindsey Pallares. For the postseason, we are inviting our colleagues from across the league to help preview the 49ers' upcoming matchups. Today, I'm joined by Mike Spofford, editor of Packers.com. Mike, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, Lindsey. Good to see you.
Good to see you. So the Packers-49ers rivalry, one of the more storied back and forths of the National Football League. Saturday's matchup will be playoff meeting number 10 between these two teams. You've been with the Pack since '06. What are the hallmarks of this rivalry?
Well, honestly, it's been kind of streaks back and forth. I mean, you go back to the '90s and Brett Favre and the Packers kind of had the 49ers number in the playoffs, with the exception of the Terrell Owens, last play touchdown in the wild card round there in '98. But then in the Aaron Rodgers era, it was the reverse, and whether it was Colin Kaepernick at quarterback or Jimmy Garoppolo, Aaron Rodgers never got past the 49ers in the playoffs. And so the 49ers have been on the streak now going the other way, where they've had the upper hand. So I know the 49ers, it's still Kyle Shanahan and Matt LaFleur right now, but obviously this is the third Packers quarterback to take these guys on in the postseason with Jordan Love. So we'll see what happens.
I know that everyone from our camp is very happy to be hosting this game in slightly warmer weather than Green Bay. For the Packers, it's going to be a 6-day work week with cross-country travel involved. What is the approach for practice and workouts this week?
Yeah, I mean it's been a lot of jog through. At least the first couple of days of the practice week so far. It sounds like on Thursday the team is going to do at least more of a normal practice, full speed reps, that kind of thing. But getting back really late from Dallas on Sunday after the victory, and a long flight coming up, and the Packers defense, I believe, was on the field like 90 snaps or something like that against the Cowboys because of the way that game played out. So there's been a lot of focus on the players getting their bodies back, a lot more mental preparation thus far than physical, because they want to be able to handle the full 60 minutes on Saturday night.
Taking a overview of the season, this 2023 Packers team went 3-6 before turning things around, won 6 of their last 8, and went on to upset the number 2 seeded Cowboys in the wild card. What was the critical change for this team?
The biggest change really was the offense finding itself. I mean, back in October when this team, was on, I believe it was a 4-game losing streak. They went from 2-1 to 2-5. And it wasn't just that they were losing games. I mean, offensively, it was a struggle to get any points in the first half, let alone even, just a few first downs were a struggle. And it was a stretch there where the offense never really got going until the second half of games, and then they couldn't come back and get the victories. As you said, then they got to 3-6, but it was honestly it was that 6th loss, which was in Pittsburgh, that was really kind of the turning point, because even though they lost the game and it ended the way some of the other losses had ended, which was with Jordan Love, having a chance to win at the end, throwing an interception with a chance to score at the end of the game. The way the whole game had played out was very different. The offense had made some explosive plays. It was in the game from the beginning. You could sense that, okay, maybe they've turned a corner here. And Matt LaFleur had said after that Pittsburgh game, hey, he felt like if they kept on this trajectory that that they would start to win some games. And then indeed that's what happened. And quite frankly, probably since the 3-6 mark, I would say Jordan Love and this offense has really only had one dud of a game. They did not play well in the Monday night game against the Giants in December, and they lost that one, and that was really a game they should have won. But other than that, offensively, these guys have, the arrow has been pointing up, and I think we saw a culmination of that against the Cowboys, where the offense was just on fire from the get-go. And obviously they're hoping to continue that as they come out to San Francisco.
So Jordan Love, a big part of that turnaround. He's been on fire, especially during those last 9 games, 21 touchdowns to 1 interception, I think 100+ passer rating in 8 of those games. How have you just seen his processing and decision making really take a leap in that second half of the season?
Yeah, I think there's been a lot going on there. I mean, one with regard to Love, he's showing so much more command at the line of scrimmage, just in terms of, not that he's changing plays all the time or anything like that, but just making the adjustments with the protection, or maybe a route adjustment or something, and the offensive line is really settled in front of him. I mean, the Packers have a second-year guy at right tackle and a second-year guy at left tackle who basically didn't play at all as a rookie, kind of took a redshirt year as a rookie. So the offensive line has taken some time to settle in, and as those guys have settled in, Aaron Jones has gotten healthy. He's been on a production binge here over the last month. And the other thing I'd say about Jordan Love that wasn't necessarily the case earlier in the season is he's been able to make it work no matter who's been out there. They've still dealt with a lot of injuries at receiver and tight end and at running back. And those injuries were a much bigger factor earlier in the season. Later in the season, whoever's available, Jordan Love is out there. They're making plays. They look in sync. They're making it work. And so as the Packers are starting to get healthier here, there are just more options offensively for Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love to look to.
And Love certainly made it work against the Cowboys, diced up a top 5 defense, near perfect passer rating coming out of that, I think, except for an incompletion in that fourth quarter. 3 touchdowns, no picks. What can he take away from that performance against a 49ers defense that led the league in interceptions and had 48 sacks on the year?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Packers certainly know what they're up against with the 49ers and that defense. I just think, the way they look at it is, they're confident in the way they're playing right now. They feel like if they're able to play their game and not make a lot of the mistakes that were being made earlier in the year, which was penalties, putting them behind the sticks, drop passes, or not necessarily drop passes, but not being able to make the contested catch. When it's a tight situation, those balls were falling incomplete. Now they're making those plays. So they're confident that when they play their game, that they can be productive, and I think they're going to take that confidence out to San Francisco. That being said, the Packers really exploited, quite frankly, Dallas's defense against the run. They stuck with it with Aaron Jones. Things started to open up with the running game, and then that got the Dallas defense on its heels, and then Jordan Love really got rolling. I think it's going to be a lot harder for Green Bay to get the running game going against the 49ers, but they're going to have to do that, and because I think that's the way you keep San Francisco's pass rush at least a little bit at bay.
You touched upon Aaron Jones just having really productive levels as of late, with AJ Dillon out, and then seeing Jones pop up on the injury list. What is the latest on those two?
Yeah, well, AJ Dillon is not back at practice yet. A little while ago, he actually broke a thumb, but now lately, that's not what's been keeping him out. When he tried to play with the broken thumb, he got a neck stinger. So that's really what's been keeping him out, and he has not returned to practice yet. So AJ Dillon does not look like he's trending in the right direction. Aaron Jones is on the injury report this week. I haven't heard anything that would indicate, that there's any danger of him not playing in this game. I think they're just limiting his practice reps. With Dillon being out, he's taken on a massive workload over the last month, and I think they're just trying to limit his reps in practice, to keep him as fresh as possible. He's had 4 straight 100-yard games. I'm not even sure when the last time that's happened around here. I know the last time it was 300-yard games in a row for a running back was 2006. So how long it's been since 4, I'm not sure. But Jones has really been a key part of this offense, not only with the rushing yardage, but also helping out in pass protection. And I think that's going to be a big part of his game on Saturday night as well. against Bosa and Young and all those guys. If there's any help needed up front, Aaron Jones will stick his nose in there and throw a block to help out his quarterback.
Yeah, I think I saw him pick up a block for your right tackle in that Cowboys game. That was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Looking at the other side of the ball, Green Bay's defense will have to contend with Brock Purdy, who's the league leader in passer ratings in 2023, and his arsenal of weapons with Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, and then you've got your dual threats, Deebo Samuel and Christian McCaffrey. Even with two picks in that wild card win, Green Bay still gave up almost 400 yards through the air. What adjustments need to be made coming into Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, the yardage and everything got out of hand in the Dallas game. Just, the Packers were up 48-16, and they were content to let Dallas, drive the ball and just run the clock. They were just trying to, the Packers defensively just wanted to run the clock out in that game and get on with things. The turnovers were huge, though. I mean, Alexander had the interception in the red zone that set up a touchdown. Darnell Savage, obviously, with the pick six. Those were huge moments in the game for the defense. Really, Green Bay's defense is on a pretty good upswing right now. What we've seen throughout the course of this year and actually the last 2 years with Green Bay's defense is kind of this roller coaster ride. They've looked really good in stretches, and then things start to go south for a few weeks, and then they rebound and bring it back. And that's really been the story of this season. They hit a rough patch late in the year, Tampa Bay, the Giants game, and then also the Carolina game, which the Packers were able to pull out at the end. But Carolina had put up 30 points on the defense, and the offense needed to get a score at the end to just keep the playoff hopes alive. But then since the Carolina game, the Minnesota game, Chicago game, the Dallas game, the defense has played, at another level. And so the roller coaster is, kind of on, as I said, it's on the upswing again, and hopefully they can, they can continue that. They're, about as healthy as they've been on defense all season long. But certainly that collection of weapons that the 49ers have, I don't know. I don't think there's any other team in the league that, last week against Dallas, for instance, all the talk was about how are the Packers going to handle CeeDee Lamb, right? And not to take anything away from those other guys that the Cowboys have, but CeeDee Lamb was the guy with all the numbers and all the production. You look at what the 49ers have, and, it's not just, okay, try to take away Deebo Samuel or try to take away George Kittle. You got Ayuk, you got McCaffrey. I mean, there's a lot for the Packers to have to deal with here. And to me, not to get too long-winded here, sorry about that, but to me,
no, please.
to me, the key for the Packers defense in this game is going to be the tackling, because with all of those weapons and the way the 49ers spread you out and they make you focus on so many different guys, they get their guys, whether it's McCaffrey, Ayuk, Deebo, they get their guys one-on-one in the open field, and they make you tackle them one-on-one in the open field. And if you miss that tackle, that's when the 5 and 7 and 8 yard plays rupture into 15 and 20 and 25 yard plays. And if the Packers are on their P's and Q's with the tackling, then, they can make things difficult for the 49ers. But if those guys are going to be breaking tackles, they're going to be breaking, busting big plays. And that's when the Packers defense is going to be in trouble.
Much like Green Bay, a key component to the 49ers offense is that rushing attack, which is largely the CMC show. NFL rushing yards leader, scrimmage triple crown winner. How well is the Green Bay defensive front equipped to handle someone like CMC?
Yeah, I mean, the Packers run defense has had some really rough moments this year. Now, lately, the run defense has really cranked up, but 4 times this year, the last one being the Giants game, the Monday night game in early December, 4 times this year, the opponents have rushed for 200 plus yards against the Packers. And those have been some really, really rough games defensively. Now, since the Giants game, teams have not run the ball very well against Green Bay. They've really been able to clamp down on the run, and I think that's helped. It's helped the pass rush. affect the quarterback more. It's helped, with getting some of the takeaways in the passing game, like last week against Prescott. So whether or not the Packers can slow down McCaffrey is a huge key to this game, because when teams have run the ball successfully against Green Bay, the defense has not performed well at all. It's really kind of unraveled in a sense, and all four of those games where the opponents had 200 plus rushing yards, the Packers have lost those games, not surprisingly. So they know they can't revert to where their run defense was previously. They have to keep up what they've been doing lately.
And, just a couple more before we go. Defensively, the Green Bay Packers are facing, I believe, a number of playmakers listed on that injury report, from Jair Alexander, Rashawn Gary, Preston Smith, Darnell Savage, Kenny Clark. Of those guys, is there an injury that is more concerning than the rest?
I think the biggest one is Alexander, because he originally injured that ankle actually last week on Wednesday, and then didn't practice the rest of the week, but was, the way he described it, he was spending, 4 or 5 hours a day in the training room. He was, sleeping with like a special sleeve or something on his ankle to try to help heal it, overnight and everything. They really didn't know until Sunday afternoon, when they worked him out on the field in Dallas, if he was going to be able to go in that game. He was able to go. He got the big interception, as I talked about earlier, that helped set up a touchdown for the offense. But then in the second half, he tweaked that ankle again, had to come out of the game. So now he's still dealing with that. His status is very much up in the air. From what we're hearing, it sounds like he's in better shape right now at this stage of the week than he was last week. That being said, the game is on Saturday this week, not Sunday. So, he needs to be able to heal up a little bit quicker. Matt LaFleur said he was hoping that Alexander might be able to take some reps in practice on Thursday. So we'll see what happens with that. If that happens, I would say that's a really good sign he's going to play. But the fact that he was able to play last week and play pretty well in sort of that rapid recovery mode from the ankle injury, if worse comes to worse, hopefully he can do that again.
I know we've touched on a ton of the key matchups. Is there one that you are most looking forward to seeing play out on Saturday?
That's a really good question. I mean, honestly, I know there's so much focus on Jordan Love and everything he's been doing, and it's been really, really impressive. But what I'm most curious about. Okay, the lights in my room just went off here. Sorry about that. Motion detectors,
It happens.
all kinds of issues here. Anyway, I think what I'm most interested to see, because Aaron Jones has been so productive running the ball over this last month, and it's meant so much to Green Bay's offense, him going up now against the number 3 rushing defense in the league. I believe the 49ers were ranked 3rd in the league for the regular season. That has me more curious than anything. Will the Packers be able to run the ball with Aaron Jones against this defensive front? And whether you're talking about Bosa and Armstead and those guys in front, or, Warner and Greenlaw, the linebackers on the second level, it's a really, really good run defense. This is a huge challenge for the Packers to get Aaron Jones going, which is going to be huge for the offense. And I think that's what has me most intrigued.
And the 49ers have not allowed 100-yard rusher so far this season. It's certainly possible, but we're going to have to wait and see how that plays out. Thank you so much for joining us, Mike. And that'll conclude 49ers Live, presented by Webex by Cisco. Make sure to check 49ers.com for all your latest playoff updates.